Okay. I mean, I think if you look at what happened during the crisis, you have essentially 3 or 4 pillars of the economy. You have garments, you have tourism, you have construction, and you have agriculture and agro-industry. And this sudden 3 pillars just going through the floor, I think it did create a certain awareness among a lot of policymakers and so on that yes, indeed, your focus and your attention at least needs to be partly shifted onto the agricultural sector. And the Prime Minister's long-time call for agricultural development was able to find, you could say, more fertile ground, right? It was able to take root. In due course, I think what you're going to see is, as you would see in any developed country, that you're going to have bigger farms, more efficient farms, probably farms using more equipment and machinery, and more people may be going to work in the urban areas and maybe going back and forth. And also, in time, you'd have the urban areas, and you'd build roads to connect the urban areas. Connectivity is a key theme of our strategy, to connect the two together. And you'll have processing going on in the urban areas, linking up a number of rural areas, so you have economies, you have larger amounts of commodities to be processed and so on. I guess, you know, I've been talking a lot with our agricultural team because we see this as a real challenge. I mean, the challenge to move up. And I think if you look at the industry too, if you look in the urban areas, most enterprises, most firms in the urban areas are very, very small, few big ones and not much in between, right? Kind of like a missing middle. And it's how do you do 2 things, I think. One is, how do you create the infrastructure that you need in order to provide an environment where those kinds of activities can succeed in terms of roads, logistics, power, energy, and so on, factories and whatnot, the basic infrastructure they need. Part of it's going to involve that. And then the other part is going to be putting in place the environment of support, of programs to assist new entrepreneurs, new business people coming up, and create an environment where, in time, those kinds of activities can grow. If you look at the government's rice policy, which is a major new initiative of the government to focus attention on, well, what will be, or could be at least, probably, you know, one of the major export products from Cambodia. Those issues I just mentioned are exactly the challenges. You need to have good testing facilities, you need to have good logistics services, you need to have good roads. Those are the kind of key building blocks to build up that kind of activity. And I mean, every country's been through that process, and I think it just takes a bit of time. And agro-industry will be a major one. We have French companies investing in sugar in the north. You know, we have Israeli companies with eucalyptus plantations on the road to Sihanoukville. It's beginning to happen. Foreign investment will be very useful here. Prices change and economies evolve, and the trick is to try to create an environment and mechanisms that allow that to happen in the right way, not to try to push or direct, but try to create an environment where business people can make good decisions and move ahead.